I'm Lanice Eversley, one half of Group 11 of the BTP Design program for fall of 2024. My partner, Burnett Ramdas, is unfortunately under the weather right now, so I am presenting on behalf of both of us. We are both lead teachers at Careers in Sports High School in the South Bronx. I am a master teacher. She is a peer collaborative teacher. We teach in a high school, a 9 through 12 high school that is predominantly male and predominantly Latinx, about 70% Latinx, 30% Black. Um, we are liberatory. We identify as liberatory teachers. We provide space for our students to delve deeply into their learning, become critical thinkers with the hopes that they will be prepared to take on challenges of the world after they leave high school. We named this presentation Voice Power Agency. We hear you, we see you, we want y'all to be the change that we need because we want our students to be very clear that change comes from them. Um, we had the opportunity to engage in conversations with our students, and these conversations revealed pretty fair levels of stress and anxiety about some issues related to their safety that was surprising to us. So, over the course of the 3 weeks that we were in direct and indirect conversations with our students, 11 in total that Burnett and I um, both teach, 10 are 12th graders, and one is an 11th grader. So, we asked some open ended questions. So, we asked, as you make the transition from childhood to adulthood, what are you thinking about as it relates to your future? We qualified that question for some with, for instance, what makes you happy, brings you joy, and what are you concerned or worried about? The top joy responses were family and friends, sports, social media, and food. And the top concerns or worries were passing and doing well in school right now, plans for life after high school, violence in the community, and money. Our next question was, what are some ways that we can improve experiences for students at Careers in Sports? The top responses: more social activities and fun, remove distracting and bullying students from class so other students can learn, better tasting food and snacks that are available to them, more time for gym and lunch. And our 12th graders, a number of them identified internships and practical work experience as something that they would like us to do for them. And finally, we asked, what are some ways that young people can use their voices to be heard? The top responses: just talking to people who can make decisions. So they identified people with power, like parents, administrators, and teachers. Having conversations can allow their voices to be heard. Using social media, they definitely identified the process of making something go viral as a way that they can lift their voices and make sure that they're heard. And finally, they identified protest as a way that voices can be heard by young people, and they referenced Black Lives Matter protests as well as protests that were happening on college campuses around the genocide in Gaza. Our conversations with students revealed a pattern of concern around the issue of safety outside and inside of school. Students provided some quotes that allowed us to begin to frame out the steps that we should take to co-design for this project. Some of the quotes that identified big issues around safety were actually used as a way to frame out the prototype. So, one student talked about the ease with which guns can be obtained right there in the school community. Another one talked about the normalization of violence and disrespect, that even small children are engaging in it. And another student talked about being disrupted in class by students who don't allow learning to happen. There was also a quote about bullying, that bullying is a problem. And sometimes, and the student said, sometimes I think the bullies are more protected than everybody else. And I thought that that was curious, because I wanted to understand how bullies could possibly be protected in our school or in any school. One on one conversations with students inspired thinking about school policies around safety. After discussions, students decided that a gallery walk about student safety and school suspensions would help deepen understanding about a system that has been used to address issues related to maintaining safe school environments. Some of the very important learning that came out of this experience for students was the idea that um, they were able to understand suspensions from different perspectives. And so, for students who have felt that a disruptive student being removed from the class was helpful to them, they were also able to see the other side, that suspensions are usually tied to racism, particularly for Black students in the United States, as well as the school to prison pipeline. So there was some very important learning that they were able to um, walk away with from this very important experience. So, students who looked at the pro side of suspensions demonstrated that students who had maybe been subjected to ongoing bad behavior in the classroom might benefit from removing that student or those students. But on the con side, they began to see, as demonstrated by these claims warrants and impacts on this slide, that there was something more, there was something deeper, and much more troubling when you start to think about the impact of suspensions disproportionately on Black students, disproportionately on Black girls, when you begin to see that there is a relationship between suspensions and people who end up in prison, the school to prison pipeline. So, doing this deep dive allowed them to really see the situation from different perspectives. And there was some real learning going on. So, I was very proud of the fact that co-designing this with students resulted in them learning about things, terminology, school to prison pipeline, that they had never understood or knew before. So it allowed them to look at the whole situation through a different lens. So these are some images of the students who gallery walked. They had the opportunity to spend time with the work, and they were giving feedback as well as receiving feedback. So it was a wonderful, beautiful process of students engaging each other. In an interesting turn of events, the 12th grade civics teacher got wind of this gallery walk co design project and wanted to see how her class content would align with something that she could co design with her students. So we talked to her about the safety issue, and so she thought that it would be a good idea to maybe pursue that. So I had students take this following um, survey. The question was, which of the following issues do you consider to be the bigger problem facing our community? And 61.5% of the students said it was um, gun violence, and 38.5% said it was police brutality. So that became a very important piece of data that then informed what they would do next. So students began learning about protests and movements from the 1960s to the present. And as a result, they decided that they would have their own protest, which ties right back into the responses that we collected from them around raising their voices. So the protest is planned for January 15th, which has significance, right? MLK's birthday, and will begin at our school and end at the Bronx County Courthouse. They have um, put in motion teams, so there'll be teams that have already contacted media, that have contacted elected officials. They want community businesses involved. They want community members involved. They feel empowered that they can raise their voices and be heard, and this protest is a testament to how they're feeling. The civics teacher who is picking up with our students where we left off is providing this wonderful opportunity for students to not only protest, but to understand the history of protest, the history of youth movements, the use of media, and the very important process of setting goals and expectations for outcomes and understanding legacy. She's created a rubric around the process. And this is the kind of work that, because the students brought the energy that they had as a result of working with Burnett and I to another teacher, it has all gone viral. And this is a wonderful model for affecting change and promoting liberatory education.